Welcome to April's Garage. Hoovie's Garage is having a little party, but not a good one. A pity party. Poor you.
No regrets. No regrets on any of the dumb things, the many endless dumb things that I have done. But watching my BMW Z8 sell at a collector car auction for less than what I paid for it, it felt kind of smart.
Okay, right.
So I didn't lose out because I traded it in for around what I paid for it. But it made me wonder, all the other cars that I had bought at the peak.
Right.
Basically, cars that I bought when they were at their height in value in 22, 23.
Well,
and just wrote it all
the
down.
board was really high in value.
Yes. So obviously, don't feel bad for me at all. I'm doing just fine.
We
but
all have our little tiny violins playing.
I'm
right
selling
now.
a bunch of cars to be able to pay off the IRS, and it's not fun right now. I mean, that's why it's looking really thin in here right now. And there's more.
Wait, to pay off who?
The IRS.
Wait, really? Because I haven't heard that from you.
I keep pulling levers. I keep pulling levers and pulling and pulling, and we're running out of loans to take out and levers to pull as far as cars to sell before we get into some very ones I really don't want to sell. But was looking at values of things, and I realized quite a few of these cars that I bought at a peak when they were at their fever pitch and highs of values, and now they have sort of come back down to earth. And this is sort of a PSA. Cars are not investments. They are not investments. They are playthings that hopefully, if you buy at the right time or the right car that's old enough, you don't lose money. But they are not.
They can be, though. And that was your argument the other way when you were getting a loan or trying to get approved for a loan recently. And they said, no, you get too many cars and they are not assets. And you were upset about that.
Right, on the house. But the Bugatti Veyron is the big reason for that. And the Bugatti Veyron is the big gamble that I'm taking. And I'm hoping the maintenance, which is substantial in that car, is covered in appreciation, that the value goes up on it. Same with the interest payments, because it's several thousand interest a month just on the loan for that car, which I'll go into at some point on Hoovie's Garage. But it's a gamble. It's a big gamble. The Countach was like me hitting the lottery, because I bought that and the Diablo on the same day, the same time, for $250,000. Sold the Diablo for $285, $290, something like that, and had a free Countach that I traded in towards that right there. So.
So you have some good times, but you have a little list of your kind of worst hits.
Right.
Recently.
So we'll start with probably the least hit. Percentage-wise, it's still pretty high. And it is that Bentley Continental GT right there.
Well, and the values for those all across the board are pretty low, right?
They are very low, and I bought them already at a very low price, but they are getting even lower. So that was a $200,000 car, new.
Right.
W12. 500 horsepower. It was the fastest four-seat car in the world. It might be 600 horsepower, somewhere 500, 600 horsepower. Fastest four-seat car in the world. Could go almost 200 miles per hour. And amazing quality, comfort. Volkswagen took over Bentley in 2000. This was their baby that they developed to completely reinvigorate Bentley. They did an amazing job. And I bought one. My first one came from Russia. I didn't know when I bought it at the time. Had the odometer rolled back 3 times. Had all kinds of problems. It was unfixable. I sold it to Devarsh. And I think he kind of fixed it, but then he traded it for a broken Porsche, so he still has a broken Porsche. So I wanted a do-over. I wanted to do it again.
That's amazing. Okay.
And I lost, $15,000+ on the last one. So I wanted to do it over and do smart and buy a nice one to begin with. But on that one, I got into a measuring contest on Bring a Trailer, bidding against somebody. I said my max was going to be 25, and I just got so mad at this person bidding me up that I said, I'm going to win no matter what.
That happens. That's a real thing. Because I know, like, at the actual, like, physical auctions you go to, guys are drinking, and then you can kind of, push each other up in the price. But online, seriously?
It was just,
you got suckered in online.
How dare you? So I paid $30,000 for an 80,000 mile Bentley Continental GT that had an airbag light that the guy said he was going to fix. It sat for weeks and weeks at the shop that was supposed to fix it. And he took $2,000 off the price for me to fix the airbag myself.
Right.
Because the shop wasn't fixing it. That wasn't enough, because the airbag module itself was over $2,000. The labor to tear apart the dashboard was another $1,000, plus another $1,000 or $2,000 and things that need on top of that. So, and there was shipping. So I'm $33,000, $34,000 into it. And at the time, that was the tippy top money for especially one with 80,000 miles. It was really stupid for me to buy that one and get in that measuring contest with that guy. And if you look at the graphs on Bring a Trailer, it's really hard with Bentley Continental GTs because there's so many. It's not like specializing in like the first generation or something. They don't really do it by generations with Bentleys. But you can see in the graph there is a very noticeable downward trend.
A thick downward trend.
A very thick, obvious downward trend. And there's ones that have sold similar now for $22,500 for 2007. So same as mine. Oh, this one's even better. It's 52,000 miles, so lower mileage than mine as far as a recent sale. Another one, $21,000 for a 2005 with 85,000 miles, so the same amount of mileage as mine.
So what are you going to do with it? I mean, you're just going to hold on to it?
I like it. That's the thing. I wanted one. I thought they're amazing values for what they are. The maintenance, it is a little obscene. A lot of these parts, like that airbag module, it's the exact same part number as any Audi Volkswagen product. It's just the programming. And we couldn't get the programming for the Bentley. So we were trying to get used modules and program other modules. And it wasn't playing ball. We had to go buy the pre-programmed module from Bentley. And instead of it being $100, $200 in the same Volkswagen or Audi, it's over $2,000 on the Bentley, just for the programming and for them to put a little sticker on it. It's obscene, it's stupid. So
they're trying to be like Bugatti with their pricing.
Well,
so what's
Bugatti
the deal, right?
owns Volkswagen, and Bentley, so they're all the same.
They're all in bed together.
Yes.
But what's the deal? Because a friend of ours was going to buy one of these, but you're saying not to buy the W12.
Yes. Well, there's the 8-cylinder twin turbo that's a little more reasonable to own than these W12s. So yeah, this one, another one. 23,200. So, I would take a $10,000 haircut.
Right.
If I had to sell.
I mean, you
car.
do need a haircut.
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. It's been a thing. So I'm looking at cars like, what do I sell next to get over this final hump? Basically, this final hump of all these home renovations spiraling out of control that completely wiped me out to where I couldn't pay my taxes. And now I have to pay my taxes. This is the final hurdle. Once I get through this, I am done. I can start finally paddling my way out.
But this is not the car that you're going to give up for that.
For the $25,000 max that it would probably bring, it's just not worth selling.
Right.
So I'm just going to park it. I enjoy driving it. You drove up to Kansas City to try on wedding dresses and things. I mean, it's a great machine. So why dump it for that big loss?
All right.
It's not worth all that much. It looks pretty sitting back there. It's a Bentley, you know?
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. People back away. Valet keeps it up front. Like, it's a fancy car.
Yep.
$25,000 seems crazy, but that's where it's at right now.
So the next one, I lost probably $100,000 at the peak from this one.
You did not.
Yes.
What are you going to show me?
The Ferrari 599. So the gated manual conversion. I was the first half dozen, I think, or so to get the conversion done on the car. And there were 30 or 40 people waiting. There was a frenzy for these things because Ferrari only made about 20 factory gated manual cars. And so when this conversion came out, you take $100 and something thousand car and you make it actually better than the factory gated cars, which you can trade for $750,000 plus, because they refined it. They made it actually better than the factory manual.
Manuals are still more.
Way more. But still, the first conversions to come out on the market, every single one of them sold over $200,000. At the peak, there was one for $250,000 that sold. 256 for blue. 9,000 miles on it, so lower mileage, but a cool spec like mine. I think mine with the Venezia paints, the Venezia, sorry, as Shmi corrected me.
He did correct
But it has the Enzo V12 in the front.
It's
These
gorgeous.
things are tuned.
It's my favorite sounding engine that you have, that you ever had. I love it.
With the tune, it's 700 horsepower.
It's gorgeous.
But $200,000 in 23, when these things were at their craziest, I could have cashed out and made a pretty penny, probably $200,000 easily for mine. There's several that sold for $200,000.
Right.
So the last few to sell, there's one that sold for 186 that actually sold previously for over 200. Another one for 180, and these are low mileage ones. And then there was one, and salvage titles doesn't really count, but 137 was the new low. So,
and that was the most recent one that sold.
Yeah, I imagine mine's worth probably 160-ish, because I have some miles of mine, 35,000 miles, 160, 170. But at the peak, over 200 would have been something I could have instantly have gotten.
That's a big hit.
And that is a lever I really don't want to pull, but it's probably the next big car to go if I had to, because of all the ones, I drive the SLR a lot, and the Bugatti, obviously, it's financed, so it doesn't really count. But
Sure. So you might have already said that, but how much did you get the 599 for?
I paid 130 something, 135 for it, and then I traded the conversion for a lower price on a car.
Right.
So I basically paid probably about $35,000 for the conversion.
Okay.
So I wouldn't lose money on this one.
Yeah.
But there was obviously a potential for where I could have flipped it for a lot if I hadn't just got so bonded and attached to the car. And now I've ridden it all the way down to basically where the conversions don't add that much value to the car anymore.
Right.
So.
But it just feels like there's so much gambling that goes in on cars and what you do to them, and should you put time and work into them or not and sell them, and what happens to the value.
Right. So the next one is my Mercedes SLR McLaren, which I bought in 2022 for $275,000.
There's no way you lost money on this because you bought it, so you like ran up to the auction block.
That was the Maybach.
Okay.
The
That's what you
Maybach
ran
I
for?
sprinted for. This one I bought because I was mad because I missed out on the Ford GT. There was a yellow salvage title Ford GT.
Who buys a car because they're mad?
And I told myself, I'm not paying more than $250 for a salvage title Ford GT, even though it's yellow. And I really didn't like the exhaust on it because it was too loud. So I was like, I was just so mad. I was like, so mad because I had sold like my Superbird.
Right.
I'd sold some expensive cars. So I had a lot of money sitting thinking, okay, I'm going to use all this money to buy that Ford GT because it is perfect for me. Salvage title, but completely redone, and I could go and do my own things with it. But somebody wanted it, and somebody paid $250,000 for a salvage title Ford GT. So I was so mad. It's like, I have to buy something. And I did the SLR McLaren for $275,000.
It's a really cool car.
Not disappointed at all. I've had the car for 3 years. I love it. Monterey Car Week, I shipped it out there, drove around. It was amazing. It only has 6,000 miles on it, but it has been on fire once. Not salvage title though, but it had a little trunk fire and the wiring was all cleaned up and all that stuff. So paying $275,000 for it. It's interesting because it sold for $400,000 before the fire. And then I don't know what Dennis Collins paid for it, but he's the one who bought it from Wayne Carini.
I didn't know Dennis.
I don't know what Wayne Carini paid for it from. So it went from collector, fire in the trunk, Haggerty, which bought it sort of as a goodwill thing, even though they didn't total it out. They fixed it, sold it to Wayne Carini for who knows how much, sold it to Dennis Collins for who knows how much, and then it got sold at auction to me for $275,000.
So Dennis brought this to the auction.
Correct.
Did he say anything to you after you bought it?
He did. He said it was a great buy, which is what you say to everybody to make them feel good about themselves. So I don't know if he was lying
a great
or not.
buy is the nice way of saying you got it really cheap.
Yes. So at the peak, around when I bought mine, there is a 946-mile SLR Roadster that sold for $537,000. Yeah, pretty incredible. And then not long after that, another one for $438,000 with 2,200 miles low like mine. So it felt pretty good getting for $275,000. But recently, it's been a bit rougher.
It's so weird because I feel like you should hold on to this car because it's got to shoot up. It's got like the way it was made with McLaren tie-in, and there has to be something to it in the future. I feel like it has to be there.
Yeah, the last Roadster, it didn't sell. So there have been a couple of coupes that sold for around $300,000, and $300,000 seems to be the tippy top for coupes and cool specs and all that stuff.
But this one, have fire.
Yeah, right. So this one with 10,000 miles, it got bid to $268,000 and didn't sell. And this is one that hasn't been on fire, and it's an unusual color. Black's a little more unusual than silver. And they tried to sell it earlier in the year, in January of 2024, and it got bid to $277,000. So it didn't bring as much the second time around. Both times not meeting reserve.
I think hold for at least another 5 years.
This is not one that I'm upset about at all because I love it. I absolutely love the car. It's amazing, the engineering as far as McLaren building it, Mercedes designing it, Mercedes giving the engine. Just such a cool mashup, the carbon fiber body, the presentation of it. I love the car. Being a Mercedes fan, I'm okay with this one being a little soft right now. And I still feel like it's under its MSRP. They were $500,000 new. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to keep seeing this downward trend, but things are a little weird right now with the economy, so you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I love it because it stands out because you do double take. A lot of Mercedes kind of look similar. And this one with that front end design with this slight linear bulge coming out. But like it makes it very noticeable that it's different and you do double take. And I feel like...
You like a bulge.
I like a strong bulge.
Yeah. So...
Next one.
Next one. Buick's Grand Nationals.
says it like that.
Buick Grand National, yes.
Buick's Grand Nationals.
I bought that at the peak to impress a supermodel at an auction.
Stop it.
Yes.
Who is she? I'm going to kick her butt.
Her name's April Rose. And her favorite car is the Grand National.
You're saying it was a peak?
And I thought, let's seal the deal by buying a Grand National at the auction.
A Canadian
and
Grand
really
National.
cool. And say, hey, I just bought this Grand National. You want to take a trip to the Florida Keys with me? It worked, and now she's in Kansas.
It worked big time.
So,
I mean, like, could you say no to that in a Grand National, going from Palm Beach to the Keys? That was pretty epic.
I bought it for, I think with fees around $37,000, $37,000.
Which is great.
33.
I'd say right now that's great.
So when I bought it, there was some big numbers for Grand Nationals.
Like really clean, super nice.
An 8,000-mile Grand National sold for $100,000 a year before.
Whoa.
And then there was
Worth
one
it.
for $90,000, another for $94,000,
Worth it.
another for $94,000 with $898. So that's in 2023. About a month after I bought it, was a pretty high watermark.
So you're feeling good about it.
94 grand. Well, now here we are in 2025. A 900-mile Grand National failed to meet reserve at $76,000.
But it could be so beat up. I know it has like barely no miles, but like still, where do they store it? It could be trash. You don't even know. I need to examine
One with under
these.
3,000 miles bid to $40,000 and didn't sell.
That's rough. What was it? Does it have fire damage?
No, it doesn't
have fire damage.
It doesn't have fire damage.
It's got to.
And even the normal ones. So no sale at $25,200 for one similar to the one that I bought, and another one no sale at $24,500. So this is all in this year. They have gone beyond soft. They have gone they've become an innie basically. Yeah, yeah. And that's despite Kendrick Lamar dancing on top of one at the Super Bowl, you know?
It's just a terrible visual, and I can't believe that you said that, and it like hurts me deep inside that you would say that out loud.
So you buying a fake El Camino GNX thing for $27,000?
I am so mad at you right now for calling it fake, because that is the most real car you will ever see on the road. How dare you talk to me like that?
You might not get your money back if you tried to go sell it again.
I actually feel like punching you. Like, have you ever gotten an urge when you just look at someone's face and you just want to punch them? That's how I feel right now.
The Grand National bought it at the peak. You bought yours at, you were just on crack. I don't know, whatever.
That's an amazing car. That's a whole different story. You can't compare it to anything else. Yeah, the Grand National numbers are soft right now, but they're still going to come up again. There's still time. Don't get crazy with me. Is that the end of your list? You just wanted to
there's one more.
pick me.
There's one more.
With the last one? Okay, so there's one more. Let's go.
The Cadillac Lyric. So the electric
Lyric?
Cadillac
Right.
that I traded my Cybertruck in because it was the only dealer willing to give me over MSRP on my Cybertruck to get out. For $111,000, I paid $102 for it. But I had to buy something, and they had a used Lyric on their lot that had like a $60,000 MSRP. They were willing to sell for $44,000. And since they were giving me 10 grand over, I thought, okay, this makes sense because obviously I could sell this thing for probably 40 in a second or a little close to that. So it's not quite been a year, maybe 8 or 9 months, and the most recent auction wholesale transaction. So this isn't like retail auction, this is wholesale dealer auction if we were to trade it on something else. One with 20,000 miles sold for 31. And these are all very high condition reports too at the auction. Another one with 15,000 miles, which is what we have on the Lyric, 32,600. Another with 1,400 miles, so brand new. 34 grand.
Okay.
And 2,700 miles, 35 grand. And then 11,000 miles, 35,600. And you have to remember, ours has a minor on the Carfax. That's why it was traded in and stuck at that dealer for a long time, because somebody bumped the nose on it. It has that glass sort of light show in the grill.
Yeah.
And that got bumped and cracked. And it was a 6 or 8 week wait to get that grill part. So that's why the person traded it at the dealership. And then that dealership, while they were waiting for the part, prices just... And they're still...
They probably freaked out too.
Electric vehicle depreciation is...
That's the worst.
Brutal.
I feel like we're in the wrong business right now.
Well...
What's the deal?
I don't think there's many winners out there right now.
No.
And I don't know if there will be in the near future, as volatile as things are. So like me, putting all my eggs in one basket with that Bugatti Veyron may have been at the wrong time. I don't know. I was hoping that one at Amelia Island was going to sell, but it didn't. That's the nice thing is when it's a no sale, then it doesn't count as a number, it doesn't count as a comp.
Right.
So if one like sold for under $1 million on the Veyron, I'd be crying, obviously.
Yeah, you and Ed.
But people not letting them go for, whatever it gets bid up to, then you're safe. But
that's good for everybody.
If the crap hits the fan and people start fire sailing off their exotics, then you see the numbers out there.
It's kind of like in your house, and someone sells the house next door super cheap, and then you're screwed because that's the market value. They're dictating it, so it's great that they put a reserve on it, so it wouldn't go cheap.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. All the cars that I have right now, I am thrilled to own and don't want to sell. There's a lot of it I have to sell stuff. So hopefully I'm done. Hopefully I can hold, and I can start digging myself out, and then I can start investing in more hoopties because they're wonderful, amazing investments. They're great investments.
That's the wrong thing to say.
Didn't I say earlier they were great investments?
Thanks so much for watching. I would hold SLR. That's going to be it.
You're just like holding big phallic things.
Stop it.